Hey, it's Olga here. Yesterday we had virtual lecture, How to Start Writing, that I gave you live and I specially created for researchers and scientists to help you get unstuck with your writing. Write fast, stay on track and complete your project and meet your deadlines. It was very well received. There were really lots of good comments. Thank you. And there was a lot of questions. I stayed after the lecture to answer some of the questions, but there were more. And I initially said I will answer them next week on my live Q&A session, but I couldn't wait. I read them all and went through them this morning, and I thought, well, I just want to answer them right now and send it to you. And I know some of you can't wait. I saw that are like very short deadlines, very tight deadlines, so I said I'll do it. So I'm recording for you this video, and I hope you enjoyed and benefited from it. So I'm going to start with the first question that I've chosen, and it is from Jessica from Portland, and I'm going to read out her question. Here's my question about devoting writing time without distractions. I often start writing, write a sentence, and then realize that I need something else to continue writing. This may be a quick return to the literature, or an adjustment to my data analysis, or even a quick dip into the data to get a number to insert into the next sentence. Is this considered distraction? I love this question. And you know why? Because I hear it very often. We work through this in my programs, and I know that many people now will benefit it. And also I love these questions because it's very concrete, right? Yesterday at the end of the lecture, I struggled a little bit to answer some of the questions because they were very general, like I have a problem, right? So we would usually go exactly into the problem, and I would ask you, what is the problem? What do you have already tried? What is not working, right? But in this question, it's very, very concrete. So let's do it. So yesterday in the lecture, I've explained to you this concept of the writing ritual where there are no distractions, no interruptions, and it's a finite time, like a 45 minutes or an hour. And I told you, go away, hide somewhere and get your writing done. And this question refers to this. Is this considered distraction? When you sit down and you start writing, and then in the sentence you're like, well, I need that number and I don't remember it, so I better go to the office. Or I need to slightly change my analysis or redo my analysis so that I can write about it. Or I need to look up in the literature. And what happens? You go to your office, you go to your computer, what happens? You get distracted, right? So yes, it is totally considered a distraction. And I'm very glad to talk about it because it's procrastination in disguise. It's hiding itself into like a good cause. Oh, you need a number. Go back to your office and look it up. So it's a procrastination in disguise. It's resistance in disguise. To sit down and to write, it's difficult. It's a creative process. You're creating something new and resistance comes up. So yeah, absolutely, it is a distraction. So now I'm going to tell you how to deal with this. And the reason why I insist on you guys and ladies to actually pack up your, laptop, whatever you need, and go somewhere else to write is exactly for this reason, where you're not going to distract it by looking up something or checking up with literature. You're just going to sit down and write. And what do you do when you feel like, oh, I need that number? You know what you say? You say, number, check it later in the brackets, and then highlight it. This is what I do. You can write without knowing that number. You know that number approximately already, right? You just don't remember the exact one. You just write the approximate number. You just write question mark, highlight it and move on. Then if you think about it, oh, I need to check it with this literature. So you write whatever you remember, and then in the brackets say, check this paper or just check this paper, or check what this guy said exactly, and again, highlight it and move on. When you feel like, oh, I need to rerun my analysis to be able to write, again, write it in the brackets. It's written on the current analysis. Redo it if necessary and correct. Again, put it in the brackets and highlight it and go to the next sentence. And you know what happens? By the end of the 45 minutes, you have like a paragraph or two. There are some highlights. There is some blah, blah, blah. You can say blah, 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 and then just keep writing. And this is your first and perfect draft. Does it make sense? Do you see now how it is a distraction in disguise? Do you see how you can get unstuck and just get writing one paragraph after another. And like we said yesterday, it is an imperfect draft. It is a bad draft. You don't want to show it to anyone, but you want to get it all right down on the paper, on your computer, because once you do, you have a better overview of what's already there or what needs to be done. You have more focus, and you also have more clarity. So this is invaluable to have the imperfect or bad first draft. It's invaluable. Okay, so I hope you benefit from this answer, and I'm gonna move on. And before I go to the next question, I just want to quickly read out that I asked you a question yesterday, and I asked attendees to comment, where are you on this planet right now? You're tuning into the lecture, and like what position you got and what area, and I've got a lot of answers. So I just want to read that out quickly, because I find it always fascinating that we have people from all over the world. So we have, excuse me for if I'm not pronouncing the names correctly, I'm doing my best. Isaac from Sweden, full-time PhD student, second year. Stephanie, postdoc from Marseille, France. Pamela from Vannes, France. My geography is not very good, but I'm very curious. So Khaled from Kuala Lumpur. Carmen from Barcelona, a PhD student. Kelly from Belfast, final year PhD student. I'm going to omit second names, surnames, because I know some of you just want a bit of privacy and being anonymous. I'm just saying Anna from Toledo in USA, Mike from Oxford, Mohana from Malaysia. Just started my PhD in March. Ooh, very fresh, just started. Chua, part-time PhD student from Malaysia. Alba from Paris. I'm a full-time PhD student in astrophysics. So thanks for sharing what you do. I'm always curious. Pan from Calgary. I'm a PhD student in quantum information science, but I also work with machine learning. Ahmed from Belfast, my PhD is in translation studies. Okay, and many, many more, by the way. So I just wanted to read out some for you. So I'm going to read out the next question, and I got them from two people, exactly the same question. This is why I think many people will benefit, because it's just literally everyone stumbles with that. So Anna from Toledo, from USA, is asking how to overcome writer's block, and Oscar Lang from Fujairah from this is Arabic Emirates, maybe UAE. Yeah, I didn't do very well in geography in school. So how to avoid writer block. So exactly the same question. And we actually have a lesson in the Start Writing and Get It Done course. This is a paid class that I opened the door yesterday and invited some of you who resonate with what I teach and really need a structure over the 8 weeks. This will be definitely for you. So we have the whole lesson on it. But briefly today, I also want to answer how to overcome the writer's block. And first of all, let's just talk even like, what is it, the writer's block? And as I understand, this is if you sit down and you have good intentions to write, you even maybe clear the time and go clear, okay, I need to write this paper, I need to focus on this section, and then you sit down and then you can't write. So you either have a blank mind and no thoughts are coming, or there are like negative thoughts are coming, it's not going to be good enough. It's going to be criticized. I'm not good enough. I haven't done enough. What if it's going to be rejected, right? This is a mindset piece that we talked about yesterday in the lecture, right? So what to do with that? So first of all, as I shared yesterday on the lecture, it's really good to get some of the tasks done for your writing that don't really require writing, that don't really require their brain power, right? We talked about them yesterday. It could be, making a list of tasks, really getting clear, okay, I need to do this, this, and this. It could be just doing like simple copying and pasting, like the figures or some other materials or some other writing that you did before. Or just simply typing the references. This is one of the tasks that you need to do for your paper or thesis. So typing up the references, just really doing some of these tasks can unblock you and you can get that motivation and some thoughts coming. So this is just one thing that I wanted to share. The other thing is, for example, some of you already said, well, I've done all of this. I've done all the copying and pasting. I really need to get writing. So what I find often blocks us is those thoughts. It's really that mental chatter that we all have. And for some of us, it's louder. For some of us, it's quieter, but we all have it. It's not going to be good enough. It's going to be criticized. It's going to be a failure. It's going to be embarrassing. Don't even start, right? So, and it's all about recognizing it and just really recognizing that this is standing between you and your writing. And I recommend like really imagine it. It's like a loudspeaker, and there is like a knob, a volume knob, and you turn that volume knob down, right? Or you talk to this voice like, I hear you, but it's not helping. And something that I shared with you yesterday in the lecture, something that I use. And again, I use it again and again, even before recording this video for you. All these thoughts come up. Well, what if they won't like it, right? What if it's not going to work out, yeah? And I only have half an hour to record this video and go back. You pretend that those thoughts are no longer important. You put them aside. What if it's not going to be good enough? It doesn't matter. Do it anyway, right? We discussed this yesterday. So this is a very, very powerful technique. It's a skill, but you can start practicing that skill. And then, I've practiced it so much that I literally have like zero resistance or very little resistance to just get and to do something very imperfectly. And then, there is always a chance to improve it. So, and I want to give you another tip today. So, this is really to get you flowing with writing. And this is like really a notion that we get from maybe the way we were taught or from our schools, or anything that the writing is difficult. It needs to be done a certain way. And because I work myself on this, and I was searching for technique that would allow me to just get my writing out of me, because you have it in your head and how to get it on the paper is very difficult, right? You could just really open yourself up to various different possibilities of how to do this. And the way I do it, the way I overcome my writing block, is because it's sometimes very difficult to just sit and start writing. I speak instead. So I would just pop on this camera because this is the easiest way for me to record myself. And I would just speak everything and then I would transcribe. There is like applications and different services that you can speak and they even transcribe it for you. And again, it's not perfect, obviously, but then you have something that you could work on. You could go for a walk, and this is where I get like thoughts and creative ideas in the movement, right? Because we think that we should sit by the desk with our laptop, and now we get this writing block. Yeah, don't do this. Go for a walk, do the movement, some kind of movement. Like I like to go out for a stroll along the river in the nature. That's what inspires me. That's what resonates with me. We're all different. And then pull out your mobile phone and again, record voice and record whatever comes to your mind. Think about it. A section that you need to write. And what I recommend is to really focus on very concrete paragraphs, not like the whole section. Oh, I need to write the state of the art. This could be very overwhelming. Just focus on different sections of paragraphs. So the first paragraph could be the whole area. For example, I used to work in material science, so it would be like material science. Or there are like recent advances because of the technique developments, right? So that would be this, and maybe I would just mention some very broad. Then the next paragraph is more concrete about your area of your research, right? So you would write about this. So this is what I would focus on just this paragraph, and don't get overwhelmed by the whole section or the whole chapter. And then the third paragraph would be just about your studies, where you describe the concrete section. My supervisor had outlined when I was doing my PhD this, the first is like this paragraph, very broad science area, just kind of introducing people to where you are, even on the science and research spectrum, then about your particular area, and then about your particular research. And then you kind of go down in details, right? So does it make sense? Does it like really suddenly clarify? So, okay, I just need to write a paragraph on the current state of my whole, of the whole like material science, right? And also, what helps to overcome the writing block is to creating the initial outline so that you're not on the blank page, but you have that, the title there and the abstract, all the sections already written out, like kind of holding the space, and then you're just filling in. And that's why I say that the copying and pasting is so powerful, because if you copy and paste, you already moved away from the blank page. You already almost like you just need to fill in the gaps. Okay, I hope these strategies serve you. I live them every day. I breathe them. That's how they help me to be productive. And of course, imperfectionism is very, very important, because we are all so focused on making it really perfect. But it's almost like it's impossible to do it from the start. Books are not written, they are rewritten. So the same is for papers. Papers are not written, they are rewritten. So put it down perfectly. And I model it for you. I do things imperfectly. So this is my imperfect office for today. It's my car, because I couldn't do it from home. I have the whole family at home. I didn't want to be interrupted. So I got out. I'm sitting here and recording it for you. And the same I would recommend for you and your writing, hide away for half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, somewhere in your car, in the park. It doesn't matter. Go and hide and get your writing done. Right. I'm just going to move on to the next question. And it is from Queen X from Pretoria, South Africa. Oh, I love that we have people from all over their places. So we're really good. How to best manage part and PhD studies. Okay, so this is again an example of a question that is very general. So I'm not even going to go right now in details. I'm just going to give a few pointers, okay? Because I do work with part-time PhD students. I have them among my private clients and my group coaching clients. So I know a little bit of what it means to have a part-time PhD and what are the challenges are. Also, I haven't experienced it myself. I've done the full-time PhD, but I did do part-time research work. So I had a part-time position. So the challenges that you could be experiencing for the part-time is that, of course, the balancing with your studies, probably your job, and for many is actually looking after the family. So there are three things to balance, the part-time PhD studies, the job, and the family. Or it could be part-time PhD studies and the job in your case. When I was doing PhD, I was, single most of the time, and like literally no commitments, no worries, nothing, just my PhD. So, of course, when you do a part-time PhD studies for some reason, because you are maybe combining it with a job, it is more challenging. So PhD in itself is challenging, your dissertation is even more challenging. So make some allowances for that. Yeah. So, allow it maybe to take a little bit more time or something, or be a bit more gentle with yourself. But here's another challenge is that when we switch the tasks, we actually lose some of our productivity. So there are even like percentage, like there were scientific studies. If we do like one task for this period of time, we have like 100% productivity, for example. And if we switch it, do half of it first and then switch to another one and then do half of it later and then another one, we basically less productive. There is some percentage. So of course, if you do now your PhD part-time, you might be in general less productive, so you kind of need again to make an allowance. But it could be not necessarily the case. You could have actually an advantage there if you manage your time well. And this is something I've developed recently for myself, because I decided that I'm going to be combining things. So I'm going to be doing like my work for a certain period of time, and then I'm going to be with my family. So I'm like very involved mom. I have 3 children. They are home educated. So, they're at home all the time and we do things with them out and about. So I decided like I do like work in the morning and then later. So what I discovered, you can actually be more productive, because you can be more productive if you do something for a shorter period of time in a more focused way than if you're at work for like 5 to 8 hours and you get tired, of course, and you get distracted and you lose focus, and in the afternoon you're kind of a bit sleepy. So you can actually get more done in the short bursts when you choose your most productive time, when you're on top of your kind of mental clarity and you're most like engaged, alert. You can get more done. So definitely take it into considerations. And the other one that we worked with my private and group coaching clients, and that's what they shared about their part-time PhDs, is basically other things are just overtaking the PhD. The other things becoming more of a priority, and then PhD gets less and less time. So you need to really consider that PhD does need physical time. So many people just try to do it 1 hour here, 1 hour there. So you really need to consider that you need to put the hours in it. So that's all becoming about time management, efficiency, and really how you redistribute your time, that PhD is still a priority and you make time for this. Like yesterday we talked about it, right? You need to make time for this, and also that you schedule in the rests, rest periods and you look after your well-being so that you schedule those breaks and holiday times and stuff. So this is the only thing I'm gonna say, because yeah, I don't want to just go on a tangent here, so we'll stay focused. So, if any of you are gonna come to my live Q&A session next week, get the very concrete questions. Like if you even post a general question, give me an example of a challenge. And this is what I require or encourage people who come to my Start Writing and Get It Done online courses, this paid class that I invited you to join, if it resonates with you. There we have 2 live Q&A sessions. 1 hour each, and I basically say, give a concrete example, describe your situation in detail, tell me what is the exact challenge, what you've tried already, what's not working, and then I can give you a really concrete answer. Okay, so I'm just gonna talk about one last question. Oh no, it's 2. Okay. So I find myself unable to write unless I have enough references and I found the right words to express my ideas. So my writing goes really slowly and I have a very short deadline for delivering my thesis. How can I beat this habit? This is a question from Pamela from France. Pamela, I believe I did answer this earlier when I talked about the writing block, because what Pamela is describing here, it is really the writing block, right? I'm unable to write, she says, right? Unless I have enough references, unless I have found the right words to express my ideas. So I believe I answered this question in the writing block. Just go, and apply this to your situation. And really understand that this is your belief. I can't write unless I have enough reference, unless I have the right words. And this is not necessarily true. You can start writing without having the right words. You can start writing with not quite such right words. And you can really start writing imperfectly and you can start talking about it, like in the recording device. So I hope this question really helps you, because you say you have a very close deadline. So everything I've shared about copying and pasting, everything you can, because the thesis, let's face it, the thesis is not all about writing. A lot of things are copying and pasting, even typing up the references. Some things you've already done, you've already written for your reports, for your conference abstracts. Copy and paste those things into your thesis, okay? And then do the writing based on what I've shared with you about the writing block. Okay, I have one more question I've just realized, because I was speaking a bit too long here on some questions. I wanted to make it a 30-minute video, but I'm just gonna go a little bit longer. We have the same question from 2 different people, so I'm gonna read them both and you'll see they are speaking exactly about the same problem. Pan from Calgary. Hi, Olga. I've tried setting goals and time to write, but in collaborative writing, sometimes the reason I can't hit the deadline is because my colleague supervisor does not like the work I've done. Is there a tip for keeping productive in a collaborating work that sometimes we don't have full control over? And Marta asked this question: how to deal when the progress of my work depends on the work of other people, waiting for the results that allow me to go on my work, for instance, or problems with technician. Okay, slightly different aspects, but the same kind of question about the collaborative work. And yes, it's a very good question. Very many people have this problem, probably everyone who has a collaboration. So the first part of the first question was about the writing itself. So when you write something and then you submit it to your supervisor or your colleagues and they don't like what you've written, and because of this you're missing your deadline. So I do have a tip that I want to share with you, and it is this. The first of all, this expression, they don't like your writing, it's very unclear. So here's your chance to clarify this. And if they return it to you and say, I don't like it, rewrite it, this is like the worst thing we can get, right? And many PhD students get it. Maybe postdocs maybe as well, but maybe not so often. So there are ways, specific ways that you can encourage more specific feedback, and also build into your schedule the fact that you will need to submit it to them and they will need to return the reply. So the problems that arise here are that you submit it to them, but and you left maybe just a few days or a week until the deadline, but they are totally busy in that week. Maybe they're traveling, they have conference, or they have marking, or whatever it is. And then they receive your writing, they don't quite like it, they know it needs work, but they just don't have time. So they're like, I don't like it. So they give it to you. So one strategy is to really notify them, to say, this is a deadline. I am aiming at giving you 1 week to look at my writing before the deadline. Would it be suitable for you? So that they can check their calendar and really see, and they can say, well, no, actually, I'm traveling that week. Can have it earlier? So then you know that you need to allow 2 weeks. Okay, it's tougher, but at least you know that you can get a good feedback. Now, if you get that kind of feedback, I don't like it anyway, you can say, okay, can you indicate which paragraph you don't like it? Then it's easier to work on it. Okay, this paragraph, maybe you want to go in person and talk to them. So there are all different ways, like if there are colleagues that only know really part of your paper, and you really need their feedback, send them a part of the paper and say, do you have any comments on this? And if they don't reply for some reason, some of you, then there is also a way you could just say, if I don't hear from you, I will submit it. And then they would usually reply if they don't like something. And if they are okay with this, then you submit it without their feedback. Of course, you want to have feedback from someone, and I had plenty of times when I just requested feedback from some of my colleagues or even friends, and that was very useful, very valuable at the times where my supervisors didn't give me any feedback or said, it's good, it's fine, maybe they were busy, or maybe they were not so interested in what I was doing. So I hope that's useful. So I'm just going to take a few more minutes to answer to this other aspect of this problem when your work depends on others. And in this question from Marta, it was more about waiting for results that will allow me to go into my work, or problems with the technician. So again, what kind of deadline is it? If it's a conference or abstract, I'm just going to open the window in the car there. Oh, lovely day. If it's, if it's like deadline for an abstract and you're still waiting on the results, well, you just write an abstract with the results you've got, right? This is like a normal, usual problem. So don't stress out about it in terms of like you're not doing something or you're not good enough. You are good enough. Those problems are usual, normal problems, and sometimes things take longer that we depend on. So consider moving the deadline. I remember we worked exactly through this specific problem with one of my private clients. He's quite high in his career. He had a lab, and he was asked to resubmit the paper with additional experiments, and those experiments were delaying, and the paper gave them the deadline, said you have to resubmit by that day, otherwise we just withdraw it. So it was pretty tough situation, and they knew that they were getting these new results, but they wouldn't meet the deadline. So he contacted the editor and they extended the deadline. Also, it was not very pleasant because I already contacted them before. But it's possible. The deadlines always can be extended, and you can argue that the results are coming, it's just that they are taking longer. And problems with technician, this is a very specific problem. And again, we would need to see what kind of problems it is. Maybe it's a recurring problem. You need to raise awareness of this. If it's one-off problem, you could really focus on the solution. What can I do right now to solve this problem, to go around it? Sometimes we can just go around it because the problems you've got, this is a bit of a mindset, right? The problems you got is you can always turn it around and look for the solutions and be creative. Maybe you can't go with your initial plan anymore, but you can still progress inventing something new, invention, right? Solution. So this is where your focus needs to go. So these problems will come up, especially if you're in a big collaboration, if you depend on someone. We would need to be inventive, and there are also some strategies where you can, be more persuasive to people. There are plenty of resources on this, and we also discuss them here at the Productivity for Scientists, how you can really clearly state the task, really go and see what is the problem, why is the person not doing it. So, okay, but we're not going to get into this today. I want to make this video 35 minutes, 36 minutes right now. This is great length. I want for you to be usable so that you can watch it and you can benefit from these answers. Post a comment below this video. What did you get out of this video? How can you apply it? Or if you get any additional questions, please post to them as well, because I will host this live Q&A session. And those of you who are resonating with what I'm teaching, who want the support for the next 8 weeks, where I give you the structure, the support, the accountability, the strategies, and the mindset every single day, and the community, join me for the Start Writing and Get It Done online course. This is a paid class. It's a wonderful, very strong class. Many people benefited from it. PhD students, master students, postdocs, and staff. The link is also below this video. This is all for today, and all the best.